and welcome to VOSR International, the voice of shortwave radio. I'm your host, Wavecrest Guy. This broadcast is being transmitted by WRMI, Radio Miami International, in Okeechobee, Florida, on both 9455 and 15770 kilohertz. This broadcast is also being transmitted by shortwave radio in Lower Saxony, Germany, on 3975 kilohertz. So I want to start out this broadcast and welcome everyone to the one-year anniversary of VOSR International, the voice of shortwave radio. I started this broadcast exactly 1 year ago on February 28th of 2025, and this broadcast here is actually going out on the exact 1 year anniversary. And I just kind of want to go over, when I started this broadcast, I started it out as a monthly broadcast, and I was going to have some rebroadcasts in between every week and continue on that way. It didn't take long. I was getting a really good response from everyone. I was getting good communication, and within about 4 months, I went to an every other week format with one rebroadcast in between. And it worked out really well, and as I kept going along, towards the end of 2025, I was pretty much doing a new weekly show, and without having any rebroadcasts. That's a few months before that is when I started making sure that I had the rebroadcast, the original broadcast files available for people to go ahead and go on our website and listen to, so they can catch up. In case we had a two-part segment and they can catch up or couldn't listen to the broadcast because of the conditions that day or whatever. So those are available, and you can go over to VOSRinternational.com and go over to our broadcast page and check out those files and get caught up. But I'm really happy with the way it went, and starting this. I didn't know how it was going to go, and I didn't know if I'd be able to, continue on. I am retired, and I didn't know how much time and effort I wanted to put into it. But as it went along, I was having more and more fun with it, communicating with people giving me some ideas and some pointers. It's something, I'm doing this show pretty much as a one-man show, but I have had some help along the way. Ancient Grass has come on a few times and broadcast the whole show. He's done some segments. Gerald, who's actually going to be doing a segment on this broadcast, has done a few segments, and it really brings a different dynamic to the show, and I really appreciate all the help that I get from listeners. It really helps out. So in starting the broadcast, my main thing was to give a different variety, a different type of program to shortwave radio and keep it going. And the one thing that I was hoping on was that others would follow suit and come on with new programming. And I am happy to report that especially on WRMI, there are quite a few new programs that have started, and a different variety. So you're not just stuck with religious programming all the time. You've got music programming. You've got definitely different topics that run the gamut, and so you should be able to find something on shortwave that would be of interest to you. And that was one of the main things that I wanted to try to do. And I stuck with shortwave radio because it is kind of a something that a lot of people have a mystery about and don't know enough about. To try to help them out, and the better, of course, you can receive these broadcasts, the more often you're likely to tune in. So it's worked out great. I'm really happy that I started the show. I'm definitely going to be continuing the show, and there are going to be some times when there's going to be some rebroadcasts if I can't do a show every week. But again, I will give a call out for anyone who wants to go ahead and do a segment, do a show. Just contact me at VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. And let me know your ideas for a show or ideas for a segment.
You could start out small and do a segment introducing yourself that usually works out the best. But there's so much information and so much experience out there in this listening audience that it's great when everybody shares that, and really people respond really well to it when we get some experience out there and sharing with the audience. So hopefully we'll get some responses, and some people will go ahead and do a show. It's not hard to do. Do a segment. It's really easy to do. You just need basic recording equipment, and you just send me the file in MP3 format, and we're good to go. So, think about it. Contact me if you got any questions, and we can go over it and see if we can get you on the air. So the radio broadcast is definitely the biggest, item that I work on, and but also there are some other elements that kind of fit along with it. And that is, first off, our website, VOSRinternational.com. I always go over there and add new pages when I do a segment. If there are some links or some other information on the subject that I can give, some videos, I will post a page over there on those segments, and you can go ahead and follow along and do some more, get some more information on the subject. And then also, we've got our listener map. We've definitely grown. We've got just people sending in emails and letting me know their location. We're over 300 listeners, 300 pins on our listener map. With adding shortwave gold on 3975 kilohertz, we've definitely gotten some pins over in the European theater over there, and there's getting quite a few more all the time. We also broadcast over there at 15770 kilohertz, and so we've gotten some from that way too. And it's something that everybody enjoys doing. Go over there and check it out. Go to VOSRinternational.com, click on the listener map. I got some screenshots. You flip through them, you'll be able to find your pin on there. And I try to update that as soon as I get new pins added. I'm going to go through and try to limit the amount of screenshots that I have on there. I haven't been able to figure out a way to get a program running on there so you can just scan through it and see it yourself without altering the map and moving pins around. But this has worked out pretty good so far. Also, listeners' rigs, radio rooms, equipment, send in your pictures and we get those put on there. There's a really nice collage of pictures on there that you can flip through from people all over the world and the radios that they are listening to the program with. There's some really nice radios out there, some old radios that have been brought back to life. It's always interesting seeing those radios out there, and it's great to see them still working. So those are some things you can check out on our website. As I mentioned, we have rebroadcasts, some past broadcasts on there. Every broadcast of VOSR International is over on the website. You can just go click the link. It'll take you over to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, Wavecrest Guy. I do have a playlist for VOSR original broadcasts on there. You can check it out that way. Also, we are on Reddit under Grundig Shortwave Radio. You don't have to have a Grundig radio to join the group, but go over there and you can make comments about the show. You can make comments about your radio or questions or whatever. We have a really nice group. We have over 1,000 members over there in that group right now. You can also head over to Facebook and you can check out our page over there, VOSR International. And you can join the group, and you can also post reception reports or any receptions that you're getting, put videos on there for the whole group to take a look at. So there's a lot of different things over there out there that I also work on when I'm not working on the show, and it's a way to keep everybody connected and getting the information flowing. All right, so now we are going to go and get into our drawings for our 1-year anniversary broadcast here. And we have 2 drawings, as you know. We have one VOSR International coffee mug that I am going to announce first. And then the second prize is an XH Data 368 shortwave radio that we are going to give out also. The shortwave radio, the XH Data 368, you can go over to my YouTube channel, Wavecrest Guy, and you can actually check that out in action. I did do a couple videos on that, and you can go check it out and see how it works and see how it operates. But the winner will be able to tell that as soon as I announce and get this sent out. So we are going to announce the first drawing for the coffee mug, the VOSR International Coffee Mug. And the winner is, I already have these drawn, and so I'm going to announce them now. And we got an email entry, and all the person put down was A from Cleveland, Ohio. So congratulations, you are the winner of the VOSR International Coffee Mug. I have your original email, and I am going to reply to that, and I will ask for your name and your mailing address so we can get the coffee mug sent out to you. So that again is the winner is A from Cleveland, Ohio. So just reply to the message, and when I get all the information, I'll get it sent out, and then I will send you one more email with the delivery instructions that'll tell you approximately when you can expect it and when you can get it. When you do get it, if you would please take a picture of it, take a picture of you with it, and we will get it put on our VOSR International website. And now for the drawing of the radio, the XH Data 368 shortwave radio. And the winner is Greg Ruda from Crown Point, Indiana. Congratulations, Greg. I'm going to have to respond to your email also. I don't have your mailing address yet, so after this broadcast, you can expect an email. And all you got to do is answer me back with your mailing address, and I will get the radio shipped out to you. And the same deal. When you get it, after I send it out, I'll send you another email with the delivery instructions. When you can expect it. And then when you do get it, if you could take a picture with it, buy your other radios or whatever, and we will go ahead and we will get that put on our website here at VOSRinternational.com. So again, congratulations, Greg. And now, on to the one-year anniversary broadcast of VOSR International. And now our next segment. This one is going to be a mix of a programming segment and a little bit of shortwave radio history. Gerald had gone through some old radio RSA magazines, and he put together a segment on the station. And these are one of the ones that, some of these... some of our listeners that listened way back when in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, they're going to be remember some of these things coming up in some of these historical segments. And I'm really pleased that Gerald took the time and put this segment together. It's a great segment. So right now I'm going to go ahead and introduce Gerald and let him take over and tell us about Radio RSA.
Hello, this is Houston SWL with a segment on Radio South Africa for the Voice of Shortwave Radio International Broadcast. You can check out my YouTube channel, which is Houston SWL. So Radio South Africa was one of the first stations I ever heard on shortwave, and looking back at my old log book, I found an entry of November the 9th, 1977 on 9585 kilohertz from 2230 to 2320 UTC. With a SINPO of 43454. Heard it on an old GE multi-band radio. It had a selector switch for 2 shortwave bands, no digital readout, just on the whip antenna. But I picked up a whole lot of stations on that radio back in the day. Radio South Africa had a distinctive interval signal that was broadcast as the program was coming on the air, and I'll play you some audio so you can hear at the end of this segment. It's about a little over 3 minutes. You can find it on YouTube if you search Radio RSA Interval Signal and Station ID, Studio Recording, Richard Wagner. It's on his channel. And so I wrote to Radio RSA several times over the years, and I received a magazine from them called RSA Calling. Had information about the country, radio personalities, broadcast schedules, and a number of other things. Inside this magazine, it was in several languages: English, French, Swahili, Chichewa, Lozi, Portuguese, Dutch, and German. So Swahili was intended for the recipients in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Chichewa, those in Malawi, Zambia, and Rhodesia. Lozi for Caprivi in Zambia. And Caprivi is now known as the Zambezi region in Namibia. It's situated in the northeastern part of the country. The region borders Angola to the north and Botswana to the south. It is named after the German Chancellor Leo von Caprivi, and the Zambezi River runs along its northern boundary. And the area is known for its rich wildlife and natural beauty. And then Portuguese was intended for those in Angola and Mozambique. So I'll share, some sections from these magazines. I have 3 of them that I've kept. One was from November 1976 to April 1977. The other was November 1977 to April 1978, and one from 1988. So inside these magazines, they said such things as this: the basis of this new schedule is to inform our listeners about events in and around South Africa. Elsewhere in this issue, details are given of the vast SABC, or South African Broadcasting Corporation, news network serving you, as well as a compilation of the daily commentaries on the news broadcast in our language services. We trust that all our listeners to the various services will find our programs interesting and enlightening, and that they will once again be seen as a contribution from South Africa to the promotion of a better understanding of our country and greater understanding between nations of the world. And of course, the staff of Radio RSA are delighted to be broadcasting to you now from our new modern broadcasting center, South Africa's multi-million rand radio and television complex, opened earlier this year, and that was in 1977. So they had various sections of the magazine. One was entitled You Ask. Someone had submitted a question about how many universities were there in South Africa, and the response was there were 15 residential universities and the University of South Africa, which was a unique institution that teaches by correspondence only. Total university enrollment is about 120,000. So people submitted various questions that they answered in this magazine. One had a section on South African personalities, which featured the golfer Gary Player, who was born in Johannesburg in 1935. His major successes included the British Open in 1959, the U.S. Open in 1965, and the Tournament of Champions in 1969. There were also a couple shortwave related segments. One was called DX Log, and in this article they talked about shortwave receivers, their sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. And in another section titled What is a DXer? And it kind of went through different ways you can listen on the shortwave bands. Some people may just listen, casually for programming. Others want to pull out those tough DX stations to try to get a QSL from them. So there was a range of different levels that people can put effort into in listening to shortwave. They had a section called Afrikaans by Radio, and it said our students live in many countries, including Canada, U.S., France, Germany, China, Japan, Russia, and a number of African states. Since the early 1970s, Radio RSA has been presenting Afrikaans lesson courses to English, French, Dutch, and German speakers. Booklets with additional information and homework exercises are available on request. The language tutor corrects and returns all homework submitted and answers queries related to the language lessons. At the end of the year, all students who have completed the course successfully receive a certificate and a book prize. I thought that was pretty neat that they actually had a language tutor who would review and correct lessons that were submitted and then send back correspondence to you. I mean, that took some effort. And then if you completed the course, you can get a certificate and a book prize. And I know other stations on shortwave have done or still do the same thing. I studied Japanese off and on. We're near fluent, but Radio Japan had a similar program and still do nowadays, but I still have some old booklets. One's titled Let's Learn Japanese and the other's Let's Practice Japanese. And so you can go on the NHK World Japan website, and from the drop down, if you pull down Learn Japanese, it'll come up with the various language learning programs that they offer. And you can also access that through the NHK World Japan app. Just select Japanese on mine. On the iPhone, it's at the bottom of the app. But they have certain learning programs. One's called Easy Japanese, another Easy Japanese for Work, Learn Japanese from the News, Learn Japanese for Drama, and a couple others. So that's a neat resource, and look for other language lessons for any other shortwave programs that you're interested in. They may have that. I think I also heard one from Radio Slovakia on the air. They also had a segment in this magazine called Radio RSA, and it talked a little bit about the station. It said our radio station first broadcast on May the 1st, 1966, and so is now well into its second decade on the shortwaves. And this was from the November 1977 to April 1978 magazine. It says all our broadcasts are transmitted from Bloemendaal, about 60 kilometers from our studios, and the original 4 250 kilowatt transmitters are now being supplemented by 3 500 kilowatt transmitters. And a very important aspect of our broadcasting is the dissemination of news, and our 9 language services broadcast daily a total of 42 news bulletins. And also inside of these magazines, they had, of course, programming schedules and information. So they had a section talking about their morning broadcast in English to Africa, and consisted of such programs such as News in Brief, Comment, Good Morning Africa, World Affairs, Africa Survey, Bible Reading, and Economic Review. And these were on the frequencies of 9585 kilohertz, 7270, 5980, and 3995 kilohertz. Afternoon broadcast in English, also to Africa, contained a similar programming as in the morning, but had a number of other programs, and I think these are probably the ones I listen to the most. Different frequencies, higher in frequency. One was on 21535 kilohertz, 15220, and 11900 kilohertz. So they had a program called the Sunday Service, Township Jazz, Sing Nightingale, Artistry and Rhythm, Yours and Mine, Mark Time Music with a Beat, South African Hit Parade. So you can see that they had a number of music programs, which probably drew me to the station, because I love to listen to the world music that they play on the shortwave stations. And interesting, they had information about the Yours and Mine broadcast. He said, over the years, this has proven to be one of the English service's most popular programs, with requests reaching us from all parts of Africa. The music played in each program varies from English and American hit tunes to a section of South Africa's outstanding black musicians and singers. And then it said, if you'd like to request something played, then you can write to the station, and they'd actually put it on the air. And their P.O. Box was 4559. And I mentioned that because they had a program also called P.O. Box 4559, where they would read listener letters and answer questions on the program, and it seemed like it was a very popular program at the time. Another program was This is South Africa, a weekly feature. They had programs such as Points of View, Agriculture RSA, Women's Page, Great Cities of Africa, and DX Corner. I'm sure I tuned into that fairly regularly. I know other stations on shortwave also had shortwave and DX related broadcast as well. The evening transmissions in English were to Africa, but then they said as well as the Middle East, Europe, and North America. So I probably listened to this a lot as well. One of the main frequencies was 9585, which was one of the frequencies I logged in my logbook that I could hear it on. Similar frequencies as earlier, and similar programming. They also had a additional program called the Transkei, if I'm saying that right, Transkei or Transkei. And in the magazine, they talked about this, and it said, after long trials and tribulations, the Transkei attained partial self-governance on December 11, 1963. This took place with the blessing of the government of the Republic of South Africa, and it was a great step for the citizens of the Transkei. Transkei represented a significant precedent and historic turning point in South Africa's policy of apartheid and separate development. It was the first of 4 territories to be declared independent of South Africa, and the South African government set up the area as one of the 2 homelands for the Xhosa-speaking people in Cape Province, the other being in Ciskei. So this other information I got from the internet off Wikipedia. So this Transkei was given nominal autonomy by Prime Minister Hendrik Verwoerd in 1963. The entity became a nominally independent state in 1976 with its capital at Mthatha, now Mthatha. The territory was reincorporated into South Africa on April 27, 1994, and the area became part of the Eastern Cape Province. The majority of the population was Xhosa-speaking, and according to the Constitution of the Republic of the Transkei, Xhosa was the sole official language, but laws had to be translated into Sotho and English in order for them to come into effect, and Afrikaans was permissible in court proceedings and for other administrative purposes. Interesting note, Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918 in the village of Mvezo in Mthatha, then part of South Africa's Cape Province. Now let me play the audio that I mentioned of the RSA interval signal and the station ID, and they'll give some brief info about the bird call that you're going to hear and the guitar that's played as part of their interval signal. It's very distinctive, and every time if you were tuning around the shortwave bands, and as soon as you heard this, you knew it was Radio RSA coming on the air. So I was fortunate enough actually to get a QSL from Radio RSA. It was dated November 14th, 1977. And another one from South Africa Broadcasting Corporation's Springbok Radio that was dated November 16th, 1978. So let me let you hear the audio of the Radio RSA interval signal and station ID.
Radio RSA, the external service of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, broadcasts in English, French, German, Dutch, Portuguese and Afrikaans, and in the African languages Swahili, Chichewa, Lozi and Tsonga. The interval or identification signal used by the service is a montage of the call of a South African bird, the bokmakiri, a member of the shrike family, and a South African folk song played on a guitar. The Afrikaans title of the tune is Ver in die Wêreld Kitty, which could be translated as Far, Far Away in the Wide, Wide World Kitty. Here is a recording of Radio RSA's identification signal which precedes every transmission.
This is Radio RSA, the voice of South Africa from Johannesburg.
That was the identification signal of Radio RSA, the external service of the South African Broadcasting Corporation.
Okay, I hope you found that interesting and this segment informative. Again, you can check out my YouTube channel, Houston SWL. I have a number of videos that I've recorded of shortwave stations that I've been able to pick up here down in Houston, Texas. So thanks for listening, and I'll turn it back over to the host.
Thank you so much for that segment, Gerald, on RSA. Really a lot of good information in there, and it probably will bring back some memories to some of our listeners. I really enjoy these history segments. There's really is a lot of history out there for shortwave radio, and a lot of listeners out there have been around a long time, and they're actually a part of that history. So if you got any information about RSA or about this segment or any other historical shortwave broadcast, please let us know. Send us an email. Send us an email what you thought of Gerald's segment here. Send it to VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. Or you can head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com, and you can click on the mail icon and contact us that way. And now, on to the mailbag. First off, the last broadcast had a really long mailbag, and we did get caught up with our emails. So this one is not going to be near as long. And we're going to start out with Barry. And Barry sent in a email here that said, listening to your rebroadcast of Tokyo Rose, very interesting and enjoyed it. The signal is 4 to 5 over 9. With fading once or twice from WRMI. Could hear everything during the whole broadcast. Keep up the good signals. Thank you, Barry. He also sent me an email letting me know that he did receive his QSL card in the mail. So it's great when everybody lets me know when they get them so I can have an idea of how long they take. Next, we have regular listener Justin, and he reports excellent reception tonight, and this was back on February 13th. I'm glad I was able to catch the replay of 0 Hour episode. I hope you are having a great time, and that was during when my daughter was here visiting. Thank you, Justin. Thanks for continuing to listen to the program. He was listening on 9455 kilohertz on an RSP Duo with an MLA 30 plus antenna with an SINPO of 55454. So an excellent signal. And thanks again, Justin. Next, we have an email from Peter from Australia, and he writes that he has been able to listen to some of our recent broadcasts via our archive page on the website, and which is great for when he has missed them on shortwave. Thanks also for mentioning me on your mailbag program as well. And you said that your email that QSL was sent out, unfortunately, as of the 15th of February, has not received it yet. But Peter, keep me updated on that. Let's give it another week or so. And if you do not get it, I will try to get another one out in the mail to you, and I will let you know when I do that. Thanks again, Peter. Next, we got an email from Joe in New Jersey, and he writes, hope all things are well and that you are safe and sound. I saw last week your area was dealing with severe weather and that you got through that, especially with the antennas you have set outside at your QTH. I have not received your material yet. And reply from you at this point, but I will keep a watch in the mail. Yes, definitely keep me updated on that, Joe. You should be getting this very shortly, and if not, we will get another one out in the mail to you. Sometimes these postcards do get lost. I've only had to send out an extra couple, I think, but it does happen from time to time. So again, thanks for the email, Joe. I do take my antennas down. I can't have anything mounted permanently, so that does help me, and I could set them off into the corner, but that the winds were extremely strong during that storm, and we had them for days. And actually, we're kind of going through a wind advisory right now, and the winds are really strong out there right now with gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Next, we have an email from Kathy from Fenton, Michigan, and she wanted to enter into our 1-year anniversary drawings, and Kathy, you are entered in them. And also, I do know Kathy from some rentals that I have on Kauai. She has some there also, and I've known Kathy for a few years now, and met her once while we were staying at the Pono Kai in Kauai. So aloha, Kathy, and thanks for the email. And that is going to conclude our mailbag segment for this week. Be sure to keep the reception reports and comments on the segments coming. It is really the heart of the show when I get communication from the listeners. So send your emails to VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. And then you can also head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com. You can click on the mail icon and contact us that way. If you're on Facebook, you can head over to VOSR International. You can join the group over there, and you can always post. I pick up reception reports that way also. The same with Grundig Shortwave Radio over on Reddit. You can stop over there. And even also on our YouTube channel, Wavecrest Guy, you can leave comments on videos there or on posts. I try to put updated posts on there for when the broadcasts are going out here at VOSR International. And now we're going to go on to a segment of historical shortwave radio broadcast. This one is going to be, I'm going to have a series of these because of their historical significance. And, the way things, they definitely shaped history, and they shaped the history of shortwave radio. And they are going to be about Franklin Delano Roosevelt's fireside chats. Now, these fireside chats did get broadcast out over regular AM radio, but of course he wanted to, get as much of his word out there as he could, and he wanted to have it go out internationally, and he also wanted to make sure that U.S. citizens throughout the world was able to hear his message. So he utilized shortwave radio for that. It was really a great medium that was available at the time when these were going on in history. So Franklin Roosevelt's first fireside chat was broadcast on March 12, 1933, delivered just 8 days after his inauguration. The address focused on the banking crisis, explaining the Emergency Banking Act and the nationwide banking holiday to the public to calm, and he did it in a reassuring manner. For the details, it was designed to restore public confidence, preventing further panic-driven bank runs. It was the first of about 30 such radio addresses designed to communicate directly with Americans, commenting on with a new form of presidential communication. So that was the main part of this. All kind of fell into place where radio was definitely a big medium. It actually got his message out, and he was able to actually talk right to the people. Broadcast on radio networks, reaching a vast Depression era audience. So FDR's fireside chats and wartime speeches were broadcast on various shortwave frequencies, primarily through private networks and later through the Voice of America, which was established in 1942. And they utilized frequencies between 6 and 15 megahertz range. Key stations included WGEA, WGEO out of Schenectady, and KGEI out of San Francisco, which transmitted on frequencies such as 9530 kilohertz and 15330 kilohertz. The key outlets before the official VOA, private stations like Crosley Broadcasting, WLWO, which targeted Europe and South America, and GE's WGEA, WGEO, and WGEI carried FDR's addresses. While specific to each broadcast, international transmissions typically occurred in the 19, 25, 31, and 49 meter bands, roughly 6 through 15 megahertz. The wartime broadcasting, beginning around 1940 to 1942, these, along with the newly formed VOA, broadcast to Europe and Asia to counter propaganda. The fireside chat transmission, these were often carried on standard AM radio networks simultaneously, but shortwave was used to ensure international and overseas military reach. So I'm going to have segments on a few of these different speeches that FDR gave as the fireside chats and were broadcast out on shortwave radio. But for the very first one, I figured I would start out with the very first fireside chat, and that being the very first one on March 12th of 1933. So by the time of Roosevelt's inauguration, nearly all of the banks in the nation had temporarily closed in response to mass withdrawals by a panicked public. Roosevelt calms the fears of the nation and outlines his plans to restore confidence in the banking system. This is going to be an edited version of the speech, and future segments are probably going to have that also. Sometimes these went on for over an hour. So these will be definitely the highlights. And this is going to be the very first Franklin Delano Roosevelt fireside chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. My friends, I want to talk for a few minutes with the people of the United States about banking. To talk with the comparatively few who understand the mechanics of banking, but more particularly with the overwhelming majority of you who use banks for the making of deposits and the drawing of checks. I want to tell you what has been done in the last few days and why it was done and what the next steps are going to be. I recognize that the many proclamations from state capitals and from Washington, the legislation, the Treasury regulations and so forth, couched for the most part in banking and legal terms, ought to be explained for the benefit of the average citizen. I owe this in particular because of the fortitude and the good temper with which everybody has accepted the inconvenience and the hardships of the banking holiday. And I know that when you understand what we in Washington have been about, I shall continue to have your cooperation as fully as I have had your sympathy and your help during the past week. First of all, let me state the simple fact that when you deposit money in a bank, the bank does not put the money into a safe deposit vault. It invests your money in many different forms of credit, in bonds, in commercial paper, in mortgages, and in many other kinds of loans. In other words, the bank puts your money to work to keep the wheels of industry and of agriculture turning round. A comparatively small part of the money that you put into the bank is kept in currency, an amount which in normal times is wholly sufficient to cover the cash needs of the average citizen. In other words, the total amount of all the currency in the country is only a comparatively small proportion of the total deposits in all the banks of the country. What then happened during the last few days of February and the first few days of March? Because of undermined confidence on the part of the public, there was a general rush by a large portion of our population to turn bank deposits into currency or gold. A rush so great that the soundest banks couldn't get enough currency to meet the demand. The reason for this was that on the spur of the moment, it was of course impossible to sell perfectly sound assets of a bank and convert them into cash except at panic prices far below their real value. By the afternoon of March 3rd, a week ago last Friday, scarcely a bank in the country was open to do business. Proclamations closing them in whole or in part had been issued by the governors in almost all of the states. It was then that I issued the proclamation providing for the national bank holiday, and this was the first step in the government's reconstruction of our financial and economic fabric. The second step, last Thursday, was the legislation promptly and patriotically passed by the Congress, confirming my proclamation and broadening my powers so that it became possible, in view of the requirement of time, to extend the holiday and lift the ban of that holiday gradually in the days to come. This law also gave authority to develop a program of rehabilitation of our banking facilities. And I want to tell our citizens in every part of the nation that the National Congress, Republicans and Democrats alike, showed by this action a devotion to public welfare and a realization of the emergency and the necessity for speed that it is difficult to match in all our history. The third stage has been the series of regulations permitting the banks to continue their functions to take care of the distribution of food and household necessities and the payment of payroll. This bank holiday, while resulting in many cases in great inconvenience, is affording us the opportunity to supply the currency necessary to meet the situation. Remember that no sound bank is a dollar worse off than it was when it closed its doors last week. Neither is any bank which may turn out not to be in a position for immediate opening. The new law allows the 12 Federal Reserve banks to issue additional currency on good assets, and thus the banks that reopen will be able to meet every legitimate call. The new currency is being sent out by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in large volume to every part of the country. It is sound currency because it is backed by actual good assets. Another question that you will ask is this: why are all the banks not to be reopened at the same time? The answer is simple, and I know you will understand it. Your government does not intend that the history of the past few years shall be repeated. We do not want and will not have another epidemic of bank failures. As a result, we start tomorrow, Monday, with the opening of banks in the 12 Federal Reserve bank cities. Those banks which on first examination by the Treasury have already been found to be all right. That will be followed on Tuesday by the resumption of all other functions by banks already found to be sound in cities where there are recognized clearinghouses. That means about 250 cities of the United States. In other words, we're moving as fast as the mechanics of the situation will allow us. On Wednesday and succeeding days, banks in smaller places all through the country will resume business, subject, of course, to the government's physical ability to complete its survey. It is necessary that the reopening of banks be extended over a period in order to permit the banks to make applications for the necessary loans, to obtain currency needed to meet their requirements, and to enable the government to make common sense checkups. Please let me make it clear to you that if your bank does not open the first day, you are by no means justified in believing that it will not open. A bank that opens on one of the subsequent days is in exactly the same status as the bank that opens tomorrow. I know that many people are worrying about state banks that are not members of the Federal Reserve System. There is no occasion for that worry. These banks can and will receive assistance from member banks and from the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. And of course, they are under the immediate control of the state banking authorities. These state banks are following the same course as the national banks, except that they get their licenses to resume business from the state authorities. And these authorities have been asked by the Secretary of the Treasury to permit their good banks to open up on the same schedule as the national banks. And so I am confident that the state banking departments will be as careful as the national government in the policy relating to the opening of banks and will follow the same broad theories. It is possible that when the banks resume, a very few people who have not recovered from their fear may again begin withdrawals. Let me make it clear to you that the banks will take care of all needs, except, of course, the hysterical demands of hoarders, and it is my belief that hoarding during the past week has become an exceedingly unfashionable pastime in every part of our nation. It needs no prophet to tell you that when the people find that they can get their money, that they can get it when they want it for all legitimate purposes, the phantom of fear will soon be laid. People will again be glad to have their money where it will be safely taken care of and where they can use it conveniently at any time. I can assure you, my friends, that it is safer to keep your money in a reopened bank than it is to keep it under the mattress. The success of our whole national program depends, of course, on the cooperation of the public, on its intelligent support, and its use of a reliable system. Remember that the essential accomplishment of the new legislation is that it makes it possible for banks more readily to convert their assets into cash than was the case before. More liberal provision has been made for banks to borrow on these assets at the reserve banks, and more liberal provision has also been made for issuing currency on the security of these good assets. This currency is not fiat currency. It is issued only on adequate security, and every good bank has an abundance of such security. One more point before I close. There will be, of course, some banks unable to reopen without being reorganized. The new law allows the government to assist in making these reorganizations quickly and effectively, and even allows the government to subscribe to at least a part of any new capital that may be required. I hope you can see, my friends, from this essential recital of what your government is doing, that there is nothing complex, nothing radical in the process. We have had a bad banking situation. Some of our bankers had shown themselves either incompetent or dishonest in their handling of the people's funds. They had used the money entrusted to them in speculations and unwise loans. This was, of course, not true in the vast majority of our banks, but it was true in enough of them to shock the people of the United States for a time into a sense of insecurity and to put them into a frame of mind where they did not differentiate, but seemed to assume that the acts of a comparative few had tainted them all. And so it became the government's job to straighten out this situation and to do it as quickly as possible, and that job is being performed. I do not promise you that every bank will be reopened or that individual losses will not be suffered, but there will be no losses that possibly could be avoided, and there would have been more and greater losses had we continued to drift. I can even promise you salvation for some at least of the sorely pressed banks. We shall be engaged not merely in reopening sound banks, but in the creation of more sound banks through reorganization. It has been wonderful to me to catch the note of confidence from all over the country. I can never be sufficiently grateful to the people for the loyal support that they have given me in their acceptance of the judgment that has dictated our course, even though all our processes may not have seemed clear to them. After all, there is an element in the readjustment of our financial system more important than currency, more important than gold, and that is the confidence of the people themselves. Confidence and courage are the essentials of success in carrying out our plan. You people must have faith. You must not be stampeded by rumors or guesses. Let us unite in banishing fear. We have provided the machinery to restore our financial system, and it is up to you to support and make it work. It is your problem, my friends, your problem no less than it is mine. Together, we cannot fail.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States has spoken to you from the White House in Washington, D.C.
Now, these fireside chats were very successful for FDR, and he was able to get his message directly to the American people. And it definitely did calm the fears of the public. And this broadcast about banking, the next day after this went out, they had to wait and find out how the response was going to be for this broadcast. And it was an overwhelming success. There was no panic. People did calm their fears, and they trusted in what he was doing, and it did work. So it was very effective. So this was an extremely effective way to communicate his message out, and he decided to continue on with them to try to go and do the rest of the things that he wanted to get done and try to explain it to the American people. So that's our first segment here on the historic FDR fireside chats. Let me know what you think. Send us an email at VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. Or head over to our website at VOSRinternational.com. You can click on the mail icon and contact us that way.
And that concludes our broadcast. Be sure to catch our broadcasts every Saturday at 0300 UTC on 9455 kHz, and also on Saturdays at 2300 UTC on 15770 kHz, transmitted by WRMI Radio Miami International from Okeechobee, Florida. We are also broadcasting on Thursdays at 1900 UTC on 3975 kHz, transmitted by Shortwave Radio in Lower Saxony, Germany. Until next time, ahoy ho everyone.